Chelsea carried a sense of triumph within her as she finally overcame her own obsessions, let go of hatred, and even learned to forgive Allison. It wasn't just a turning point for herself, but a moment that made her believe that compassion could open a new path for those tormented by the past. It was this newfound belief that pushed Chelsea to try to persuade Kat to do the same with Eva. She believed that if Kat would open her heart, reconciliation could save many relationships that had been and were being dragged down by resentment and pain. With all the innocent goodwill in the world, Chelsea suggested that Kat go see Eva, even carefully choosing a luxurious gift, a designer handbag, as a testament to her sincerity. To Chelsea, it was merely a simple gesture rich with meaning, but she had no idea that this very advice would inadvertently place Kat in the most tragic situation of her life. Kat was never the kind to be easily swayed. In her heart, Eva was a scar that had never healed, a symbol of betrayal and hurt. Yet under Chelsea's influence and the feeling that she needed to try letting go once to find peace, Kat decided to do the very thing she hadn't believed she would. The visit to Eva's house, in Kat's mind, was an opportunity to prove she was mature and magnanimous enough to rise above bitterness and make amends. But from the moment Kat stepped into that house, the chill in Eva's demeanor began to fracture every expectation. Eva hid none of her displeasure. Her cold eyes and each evasive gesture were like silent cuts carving deeper into Kat's heart. Kat tried to stay calm, to smile and show kindness, but Eva's contemptuous silence laid bare a clear truth. There had never been room for healing in this relationship. Kat began to sense that something was off. The tension in the air, the way Eva grew uneasy when Kat glanced toward a door left slightly ajar leading to another room. Everything felt like a subtle warning sign that a secret was being kept. Instinct urged Kat forward, and as the door swung open, the fateful moment came crashing down on her life. Tomas stepped out, body slick with water, a towel hastily wrapped around him. The familiar tattoos Kat had once loved now bared before her as irrefutable proof of betrayal. In a single brief heartbeat, all the trust, love, and hope Kat had built over time were torn to cold, scattered shards. Pain surged. Kat felt as if she had been pushed off a cliff. Everything she had tried to do, relinquish hatred, open her heart to Eva, fight to salvage her relationship with Tomas, collapsed before that stark image. In Kat's mind, a question spiraled. Did Tomas come here willingly, led by an irresistible impulse, or was he merely the prey in a honey trap Eva had set in advance? Whatever the answer, the truth did not change. The man Kat had trusted had betrayed her right before her eyes. When Chelsea heard about the shock, she plunged into panic. Her original intention had been only to counsel Kat toward serenity, and yet now that advice had turned into an invisible blade plunging into her friend. Chelsea felt suffocated by guilt and remorse, blaming herself for being too naive to anticipate the cruelty of reality. She saw herself as an accomplice who had driven Kat into an abyss of despair, and that remorse would weigh on her heart forever. Meanwhile, Kat faced an unavoidable choice. Rage coursed through her veins until she wanted to scream, to turn the visit into an explosive scandal that would force everyone to face the vile truth. But another part of her whispered that silence would be the more merciless punishment. If Kat erupted, Eva could use that very fury as a defense, and Tomas could shift blame, claiming that Kat's sudden appearance had led to the moment of exposure. In a world woven with lies, Kat understood that truth rarely stood with the weak. This moment shattered everything. The love between Kat and Tomas, already buffeted by storms, now had no way out. No explanation, no apology could mend the wound Kat carried. The betrayal was not only physical but the collapse of trust itself, the humiliation of being placed, by Tomas, in the role of the disgraced in Eva's very home. It was the cruelest degradation Kat had ever endured as Kat left that house. Legs trembling, eyes blazing with pain and fury, she knew a new chapter in her life had just opened. A chapter of blood, hatred, and no mercy. In Kat's heart, hurt was hardening into a weapon. And when love dies, what remains is only the hunger for revenge. As for Chelsea, in the days to come, she would have to live with the torment of knowing that she herself had set the fuse for this tragedy. In her nightmares, the image of Kat collapsing before Eva and Tomas would return again and again, a reminder that sometimes kindness, placed in the wrong hands, can become the sharpest blade to sever all trust. After that horrifying moment, Kat could no longer hold back. The restraint she had struggled to maintain throughout the encounter shattered like a fragile glass pane struck by a sledgehammer. The door of Eva's house did not close behind her to keep secrets in the dark. It sealed in the pain and fury of a woman just destroyed. Kat turned back, her eyes burning like embers, her hands trembling not only with anger, but with despair that had crossed every threshold of endurance. Shouts rang out. Fierce accusations shook the space Eva had tried to keep quiet. Neighbors began to take notice. Whispers spread, and within minutes, what seemed private erupted into a public scandal within the cold walls of Fairmont, Crest. Eva, who always loved to control everything, never expected Kat to explode like that. Instead of suffering in silence and retreating, Kat chose to turn her pain into a weapon, unleashing a barrage of accusations that left Eva no room to maneuver. Eva tried to appear calm, but her taut face and panicked eyes betrayed her. And Tomas, still standing there in a slipping towel, became a humiliating spectacle laid bare to the community. He tried to interject, but every attempt at explanation only fanned the flames in Kat's eyes higher. In that moment, everyone could see one thing clearly. The love between Kat and Tomas was dead. Its death too sudden, too violent to be hidden. Kat's eruption did not end there. As her wrath overflowed its bounds, she did not aim solely at Eva or Tomas, but dragged Chelsea into the vortex as well. For deep in her mind, Kat remembered who had encouraged her to set foot in that house. With trust shattered, Kat could no longer differentiate goodwill from guilt. In her eyes, Chelsea had become the indirect hand that pushed her into disgrace, that created a new fracture in an already fragile friendship, sending Chelsea into a spiral of remorse, at a loss for how to repair the damage. Consequences rippled through Fairmont, Crest like a storm sweeping across land already riddled with undercurrents. Other families began to whisper and scheme, exploiting the scandal to cement their own interests. Those who had quietly watched the cracks between Kat and Tomas now had their reason to strike. Martin realized that Kat's collapse could be leveraged to expand his influence. Anita saw a chance to diminish Kat's standing in the eyes of the community. Even those who had stood aside now wanted in, because the scent of a powerful family's blood draws both enemies and allies. After the outburst, Kat fell into a darker state than ever. Her heart was pulverized, but from that pain a dangerous energy arose. She swore she would never again allow herself to be a victim. If Eva had chosen betrayal, if Tomas had chosen treachery, then she would choose revenge. Every tear that fell only hardened her resolve to become someone who could not be brought down. Fairmont, Crest, once a symbol of elegance and prosperity, now turned into a battlefield. Every step Kat took, every glance from Eva, every careless word from Tomas could become the spark to ignite the whole community. Kat's fury was no longer the private matter of a woman betrayed. It had become the detonator for the tangled hostilities here. And when someone who once placed all faith in love has only hatred left, everyone living behind those opulent gates must prepare to face an unavoidable storm. If Kat chose to explode and cause a scene right in Eva's home, the immediate fallout would blaze like a wildfire, incinerating every layer of secrecy. The incident would quickly spread beyond four walls, wending its way through the words of neighbors, servants, and those who had been waiting for a misstep to turn it into a weapon. The Dupree family, long accustomed to scandal, would have no way to hide. The image of Kat, once seen as cool, proud, and unyielding, forced into the role of an unhinged woman shouting accusations in her rival's home would become an indelible stain. The media could exploit the spectacle as proof of Kat's collapse, turning her from victim into public jest. And the cruelest part would be Eva's satisfaction, using Kat's very rage as evidence of her madness and instability, thus rationalizing Tomas's presence in her home. Conversely, if Kat chose silence and withdrawal, the picture would become far more terrifying. Beneath that controlled exterior, a flame of revenge would be lit, smoldering, persistent. Kat's silence would not signal weakness, but the beginning of a more cold-blooded, merciless plan. By not publicizing her anger, by not letting others read her emotions, she would seize the initiative. She could quietly gather evidence, recruit allies, spread rumors, even exploit Eva's enemies to gradually break apart the lives of both Eva and Tomas. The retaliation would not detonate at once. It would arrive slowly, like a noose tightening around their necks, so that by the time Eva and Tomas realized, it would already be too late. In both scenarios, Kat could never return to who she was. Whether she chose noise or silence, the common thread would be a profound transformation of character. The woman who once believed in integrity, who tried to maintain composure to preserve her image, had been betrayed to the point of ruin. Suppression could send Kat sliding from a self-controlled person into a shadow willing to sacrifice everything for revenge. This turning point would transform her into a new figure in the world of Fairmont Crest. Dangerous, unpredictable, and no longer bound by moral lines. If Kat left Eva's house in a state of lost control, the outlook would grow even darker. In panic, with trembling hands on the steering wheel and tears blurring her vision, the possibility of an accident on the way home would be entirely real. Such a crash would add layers of drama. Was it merely the consequence of her distress? Or had someone used her weakness to push Kat into a deadly trap? If she survived, the accident would become a harsh milestone, wounding her body while hardening her hatred. If she were gravely injured, the Dupree family would be forced to face an even greater scandal, and Eva and Tomas would stand before the community's fierce condemnation. If Kat chose restraint, refusing to let her fury erupt in Eva's house, that silence would become a poison running quietly in her veins. Once known for calm and self-control, for preserving her image under any circumstance, Kat, pierced straight through the heart as her trust and love were shattered, would find that calm no longer a refuge. It would become a cold mask hiding a storm, and Kat would be reborn as someone else. Dangerous, icy, ready to destroy everything for vengeance. No longer merely protecting herself, she would become the aggressor, using her cunning and latent power to crush those who betrayed her, step by step. She would not scream or wail, but instead execute with razor-sharp calculations, moves made in silence that no one could stop. But if Kat left Eva's house in a state of uncontrolled fury, the story would follow a different course, darker, more perilous. The emotional tempest within could scramble her senses. Eyes blurred with tears, hands shaking on the wheel, her mind overwhelmed by the fresh images of betrayal. In that state, a single moment of inattention, a sharp curve, or a blinding headlight could be enough, an accident entirely possible. A violent collision on the way home would not only injure Kat but open a new chain of events. Was it merely the natural consequence of her collapse? Or had some hand seized the fragile moment to stage an accident meant to silence Kat forever? If Kat survived, the accident would carve deeper wounds into both body and spirit, making her more dangerous than ever. From that instant, she would no longer be just a betrayed woman, but a survivor carrying an inextinguishable fire of vengeance. If the crash were too severe, it would drag the entire Dupree family, Eva, Tomas, and the whole Fairmont Crest community into a vortex of scandal, transforming a love triangle into a tragedy capable of obliterating everything they had struggled to conceal. Thank you for taking the time to watch my video. All the content I make is just speculation and personal sharing. If you find the video interesting and useful, please support me with a like and leave a comment. If you have better ideas or more interesting speculations, please share them in the comments section for everyone to discuss. I appreciate all your contributions and support. Sincerely, thank you.